You ever notice how sometimes feedback feels like a punishment, but other times it feels like progress? Well, there's a really powerful reason for that. Today, we're going to dive into the science of why the timing of feedback can either supercharge your learning or, stop it dead in its tracks. Okay, think about this for a second. We've all been in both of these situations, right? First scenario, you pour your heart into an assignment, you send it off, and then nothing for 2 weeks. When it finally comes back, it's just covered in red ink. By that point, you've totally moved on. The context is gone. Now, scenario two, you're right in the moment. You answer a question and bam, you know immediately if you got it right. You can adjust, try again, and actually feel yourself getting better.
So which of those feels like a judgment, a criticism that shows up way after the fact? Yeah, that delayed feedback, it really stings, doesn't it?
And which one feels more like a game? Like you're actively leveling up with every single attempt. That right there is the power of momentum.
So let's get into the science of this, because it's not just about feelings. There are some really deep cognitive reasons why this happens. We're going to explore what's called the timing effect and find out why immediacy is pretty much the secret ingredient to feedback that actually works.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This comes from John Hattie's huge study, Visible Learning. He looked at mountains of research and found that feedback is one of the single biggest drivers of achievement. It's not some minor detail, it's an absolute cornerstone of learning. But here's the catch, and it's the part that so many people miss. Not all feedback is created equal. The most important variable, the one thing that can make it amazing or totally useless, is its timing. It's all about when it happens.
And this idea goes way, way back. We're talking B.F. Skinner and foundational learning science. His research showed that our brains forge the strongest connections when a consequence, in this case feedback, happens right after behavior. That immediate link is what makes the learning stick.
And this is basically what's going on inside your head. When feedback is immediate, your brain wires the action, the outcome, and the correction together into one solid pathway. But if you wait, that connection gets broken. The correction just feels totally disconnected from the effort you put in, and poof, the learning opportunity is gone.
Okay, so now let's go a level deeper. We're going to look at why immediate feedback doesn't just teach us something, it actually motivates us on a really fundamental psychological level.
There's this incredible framework called self-determination theory, and it says that all humans are driven by three core needs. We need to feel competent, like we're good at what we do. We need autonomy, a sense of control, and we need to feel like we're making progress, that we're moving forward.
And here's the magic trick. Immediate feedback is a motivational powerhouse because it nails all three of these. It shows you that you are capable of getting better, which builds competence. It gives you the info you need to steer your own learning, which gives you autonomy. And of course, it creates that amazing feeling of momentum, which is progress itself. This completely changes the conversation happening inside your head. With instant feedback, your brain is all about growth. It's asking, okay, cool, what's next? How can I improve this? But with delayed feedback, your brain's already checked out. The correction doesn't feel like it's about the task anymore. It feels personal. And it sparks that defensive question. Why am I being criticized? And that leads us straight into a really dangerous place, the demotivation trap. This is the point where feedback stops helping and actually starts to hurt a person's motivation and even their sense of self. And it's not just a theory. There's some solid research on this. Work by Ruth Butler found that when feedback is delayed and is just a grade or a score, it totally shifts a person's focus away from learning and puts it squarely on the feeling of being judged. And this is the most dangerous shift of all. Good feedback makes you think, okay, this specific answer needs improvement. But delayed, judgmental feedback makes you think, I'm not good at this. It makes you internalize the failure. And the second it becomes about your identity, your motivation just hits a wall. All right, so we've seen the problem. We get the psychology behind it. Now for the most important part. What do we actually do about it? Let's break down a super simple, actionable way to give feedback that really works. It honestly boils down to these three things. 1, whenever you can, just close that time gap. Make it immediate. 2, be specific. Good job is nice, but it's not helpful. And 3, this one is so crucial. Always focus on the work, the strategy, the process, never ever on the person's character or identity. And if we zoom in on that second step, make it specific, let's go back to John Hattie. He says the best feedback answers 3 simple questions for someone. First, where am I going? Second, how am I doing right now? And third,
What's the very next step I should take? That's it. It's a clear roadmap.
And here is a crystal clear example of what it means to focus on the process. Saying, this strategy needs an adjustment gives someone something concrete to work on. It's about the task. But saying you're careless, well, that's a personal judgment. It gives them nowhere to go and just makes them defensive.
So let's bring it all home. When you boil it all down, it comes back to this one simple truth. We are all wired to crave progress. And when feedback feels that feeling, it becomes this amazing, positive, almost addictive force for growth.